and indoctrination of children under the guise of the LGBTQ acceptance. I'd like to preface this by saying we support adults making their own choice to transition as long as it doesn't harm anyone else and none else has to pay for it. That being said, the war on children must end today. The number of transgender people seeking medicalization is exploding. The percentage increase is in the thousands, not normal. And in Madison, a 7-year-old child can come here because it is a sanctuary county for transgender people and have their healthy body parts removed and be prescribed medications to suppress their natural puberty. But puberty isn't scary, it's normal. The saturation of trans ideology has taken over every aspect of society today. We watch our screens and mainly see transgender people who are happy. We see a lot of celebration stories about how beautiful it is to be trans. What you don't always see are the horror stories that follow some of these victims. That's what these people are. They're victims. The rise in detransitioners coming out is extraordinary, but not shocking. The brain doesn't fully develop until the age of 25, sometimes even later. There are laws put in place to protect people from doing or making decisions that can ultimately ruin their lives. There are laws to drink, to get a tattoo, vote, fight for our country, to drive, to get a loan. But when it comes to mutilating your body, this ideology says any age is okay. It's open season. In 2002, a controversial interview with Professor Ocampo, a Filipino-American sociology professor with expertise in gender and sexuality, he spoke about the precedence of underlying psychiatric disorder in a portion of the transgender group. This led to a response by the Healthcare Inspectorate, who asked that a Dutch Association for Psychiatry formulate clear criteria for indications of sex reassignment procedures on that basis. The professor received an invitation from the board to participate in working group for transsexual operations, and then suddenly it went quiet. The group never met. Ocampo came up with his own proposal to appoint an independent review committee to the project, which never happened. And yet things of lesser importance typically have a review committee. To quote Ocampo, there is currently no consensus on how to best shape the indications of gender affirmation. Did you know a third of trans patients do not follow up for their reviews or how they are doing post-transition? This means we don't even know the real number of those that regret their decision. Frankly, one is too many. I'm sick of being labeled a transphobic bigot, self-hating, gay, fascist, right-wing, homophobic conspiracy theorist for saying this. The labels are over. There is nothing phobic about protecting a child's innocence from being exploited and handed over on a silver platter to medical industry to carve up like an animal. Because a boy likes pink or a girl likes to play with trucks, it's nonsense. As adults and Americans, we have a duty to protect children from harm, from the real dangers that are out there in this world. It is our responsibility to guide these children on a path that will give them the best chance at a healthy, successful, long, happy future, not coerce them into a life of endless debt, reconstruction surgeries, depression, and suicidal thoughts. The experimentation on children must end today. If a child can consent to something as extreme as permanent as a sex change, they can consent to anything, and we believe this is the goal. The line from A to B, this is very, very short. It is up to us to correct this mistake. What side of history do you want to be on? The side that fought to protect the innocence of children, letting them grow up to be themselves and discover themselves naturally? Or do you want to be the side that openly experimenting on children? Because I choose the path number one. Let kids be kids.
All right, and I assume you are Sandra? All right, go ahead first, and then we'll take questions from the committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Kirby. I'm the Director of Government Affairs at American Principles Project. We're a pro-family conservative group based out of Virginia. And I'm here to do you have transgender adult friends?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so your position is really that we should wait until adulthood. You don't have a problem with transgender adults? No. Okay. And I wanted to clarify that because we've heard a lot of, we're trying to cancel transgender people and that sort of thing.
Not at all. Not true.
And so that was my question for you. And if I might kill two birds with one stone, if I could ask you, ma'am, could you talk about some of the other comorbidities? Because I think that's kind of what is giving me concern with this.
Yes, so a lot of children who've come to these clinics, particularly there was a case in Missouri, there was a whistleblower case talking about their work in one of the clinics there. And a lot of the children came in, they were dealing with anxiety, depression, anorexia. A lot of these children had autism already, and those were not dealt with or handled. They were told to those professionals, and they were totally ignored and said, you know what, you're just let's get you on hormones, let's get you on blockers. And then they moved on to surgeries later. And they just use that as, oh, well, you'll just have a community now. And everyone wants a community when you're feeling isolated with those things, but they didn't actually address the core issues there. They weren't trying to treat them for those things. Depression, as we know, is a great cause of suicide in young people. And if we're not addressing that at its core, we're not actually helping anything. We're just perpetuating further issues.
And are there any statistics kept anywhere on people who are detransitioning?
I don't have an
I
exact
believe a lot
number.
of those statistics are not given. A lot of them are pretty much hidden from people to actually see. If you go online and you look, a lot of it is covered up with a lot of mainstream media and a lot of propaganda in front of it. The actual numbers, you don't hear detransitioner stories. They're censored, they're taken offline. You don't hear about any of that anymore.
If I may, there is a study from the NIH that has the numbers of 80% of children who actually make it past puberty without undergoing surgeries and hormones and all of that actually desist from their feelings of gender dysphoria. And that's the lowest number that I've seen personally, but that's when NIH is usually accepted by most as credible.
Thank you both. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, any other questions? With that, thank you.
Paying attention, so I don't think
Yeah. And get that testimony to us if you can, too. Next up, we have Robin Schultz, Pride at Work, speaking against. On deck, Kat Grand.